Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I know it's been a while since I uploaded a video, but I've been busy with exams and such. So in this video, I'll be discussing peer review finally. I will be linking the article I used in the description box below. Now with all that out of the way, let's get into the video. Right, the first thing we're going to be looking at is the definition of peer review. So peer review is the process of ensuring that new research is original and uses valid science. It is used in all areas of scientific and academic research activity. Right, so the next point is the function of peer review. What does it do? So peer review works to weed out invalid, poor quality or unoriginal science, and in that way you can always trust the peer-reviewed research that you read. So how it works is the submitting author's work is put before a panel of experts in the same field who then review the scientific work and evaluates it based on its originality, its quality and its validity. So the peer review allows the scientific community to continuously put out high quality information and information that practitioners, researchers and students can trust. Alright, so peer review has three goals and they all contribute to the fact that science must be evaluated before being published. This means somebody can't just walk up to you and say, "Oh, I've discovered this thing in science." They're not going to really believe you. The scientific community is going to be like, "Okay, where's your research? And has your research been peer reviewed?" The first goal is the validation of a piece of academic work, and the second one is to ensure the quality of published research and to increase the networking opportunities amongst individuals in the research community. Alright, so now that we've looked at the definition, the function, and the goals of peer review, let's look at the three-step process of a formal peer review that is followed every time an author intends to publish a study or an idea in a scientific journal. The first step is your first pass review. Here, a journal editor receives the submitted article and checks whether the relevant journal's quality guidelines are being followed in the article. And based on these findings, the editor either rejects or passes it on to the next phase or step, which is the actual peer review itself. During the peer review process, the experts on the subject discussed in the article review the article, and the validity of the science and information in this article is checked by them. They then decide whether the article is either rejected, accepted, or they can request revisions of the article. The third and final process is the revision process. So if revisions are requested, the author must revise the article and make the required revisions. It is then submitted to the peer reviewers again, where they can either reject it or approve it for publication. Right, now that we've discussed the peer review process, let's take a look at the four types of peer reviews that are used based solely on the journal in which an article will be published. The first type of peer review is a single blind review. This one is also most common and makes up to 85% of peer reviews. In a single blind peer review, the author does not know the reviewers. One of the main benefits is that the peer reviewers can be impartial, as the author can't influence the reviewers if they are anonymous. However, there are a few criticisms that come with single blind reviews, such as the author's identity is not protected. Unfortunately, there have been cases where peer reviewers delay the publication so that their research can be published first. The second critique is that some reviewers can be overly critical or unnecessarily harsh with their reviews, as they remain anonymous. The second type of review is referred to as a double-blind review. As the name suggests, in a double-blind review, both the author and the peer reviewers are anonymous. This fixes a lot of issues in a single-blind study thanks to the following. Due to the author's anonymity, the relationship between the reviewers and author won't influence any critiques. This also guarantees any possible bias from both sides, such as race, gender, age, and nationality. Certain authors have further bias, such as their popularity or lack thereof, removed. The work is evaluated based on the research alone and not the author's track record in terms of previous studies or work. As seen with the previous review, there are still disadvantages, two of them being, despite the author's anonymity, a reviewer could still know who the author is based on their writing style and/or subject matter. And the second one is that the author is not protected from bias of the editor. This is a big problem, as the editor will have the final say about where, when, and how the article will be published in a journal. The third type of review is your triple-blind peer review. This type of review means that all parties, so the author, editor, and peer reviewers, remain anonymous. This type of review, however, is uncommon but provides the most protection to authors. It uses the benefits of previous reviews and removes editor bias towards or away from particular authors. Unfortunately, no process is perfect. A triple-blind review is highly complex and expensive. As seen with the previous types of peer reviews, author anonymity still isn't guaranteed. The scientific community is also currently pushing for more transparency during the peer review process. And lastly, you have your open review. So depending on the journal, open reviews can be used. This process occurs when the author, reviewer, and editor are no longer anonymous throughout the process. The following identifying information is also included and available: the responses from the author and/or editor and other reviews, other peer reviews. A discussion forum for community comments is also included in articles that are quickly published. Open reviews are becoming more frequent, as it is believed that peer reviews are more honest and tackle the problem of hateful anonymous reviewers. However, there are a lot of disagreements, as open reviews can be seen as vulnerable to less honest feedback. The reasons for this pushback against open review is a fear of retribution or a tendency towards politeness. A study actually showed that there are less peer reviewers participating in open reviews compared to the blind reviews. Now, let's take a look at the pros and cons of peer review. One of the pros is the prevention of fake news being published due to the rigorous process of evaluation. Authors also receive valuable feedback. This helps a lot of struggling authors who have a difficult time getting published, which is seen as a make it or break it moment for any author. Journals are also able to identify the best articles to publish. This is an extremely important task, as 1.8 million academic articles are published every year. Peer review assists editors in also speeding up the process of sorting through all of these submissions that they receive. Peer review is widely accepted and well understood in the scientific community. The process is straightforward and easy to grasp, and it also makes it easier to train new scientists and practitioners. Even those who are not a fan of peer reviews agree on this purpose. And finally, peer review has been part of the scientific community for so long that by replacing the model would be very disruptive to the process. One of the biggest cons of peer review is that it's a very lengthy process, which then slows down the research process as a whole and prevents practitioners, patients, and those in need of the research from receiving valuable findings. Ironically enough, this process has never been tested, so the question of whether it is really effective at detecting errors in submissions arises. Now, your reviewers and editors aren't open to new ideas, which is another con. The confirmation bias or elitism can lead to the rejection of potential, novel, and valuable ideas. This could prevent advances in the different sciences, and this is also the criticism that is seen as the most controversial. Lastly, peer review cannot prevent low-quality research from being published. Some journals use a stricter process while others are more relaxed. This leads to the opinion that lower level journals are publishing too much so-called bad science. An excellent example of this is the study that was published and has since been redacted, claiming that vaccines cause autism, which has had detrimental consequences as of late. To recap, peer review is a widely accepted process to validate academic research while containing fundamental defects and limitations. Now, due to these limitations and defects, the scientific community continues to search for a solution that can address all of these drawbacks. Guys, thank you so much for watching this video, even if it is a bit long. I have no idea how long it's going to be until I start editing. If you enjoyed this video, please consider liking the video, sharing it, and subscribing to the channel. Lastly, guys, thank you so much for the views on my Dr. Lushaba video. It means so much to me, and I really appreciate it. Last time I checked, it was like over 90 views, close to 100, so thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Now, I'll leave you with an excellent quote from the great Richard Dawkins. "It is possible in medicine, even when you intend to do good, to do harm instead. That is why science thrives on actively encouraging criticism rather than stifling it."